right, what's up, guys? Pleasure today. I have Poyo with me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being on, man.
Thank you for having me.
I've known him for a couple of years, on and off. One thing I noticed immediately of you is you're a lot bigger.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You put some solid muscle on.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying, man.
So
it's been cool.
What are you weighing now?
I'm between like 175, 180.
And how tall are you?
Yeah, give and take. 5'8".
So that's pretty solid weight.
5'8" and a quarter. Okay, let's not take that away.
Take that little bit.
Yeah.
And then one thing with you, you've always been very lean. Like do you ever fall off, like as far as like body fat, or you?
Everybody falls off, man. At the end of the day, this journey's not always gonna be perfect. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, like right now, I look lean, but when you look under the shirt, that lean. Just because I've been in a bulking phase, obviously. Like,
Gotcha.
I've been in a gaining
so
phase
that
for
extra
3
muscle
years.
is kind of helping with that.
Yeah, man. So obviously, like I'm. The goal is to look healthy at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I stopped chasing the lean look a long time ago, and yeah, man. It's just been focusing more on like how strong am I, you know.
So setting different goals.
Yeah, exactly, man.
How are you feeling now with the extra muscle opposed to how much lighter weight? Last time I saw you, it must have been a good 10.
So about 3 years ago, I weighed after my show actually in 2019. I started at like 152.
Okay.
And it's taken me 3 years to get this slow gain of weight. But like I said, man, I'm not really focused on the weight aspect so much. It's just more of like, you know, constantly playing with my macros and going up, down, hitting metabolic adaptation. And,
gotcha.
you know, making sure it's as much muscle as possible.
So you are like aesthetically, you're trying to look more full and better. Is that the reason, or are you just like strong and fit, or? Strong
and fit, man. I just want to be healthy at the end of the day.
So the body is just secondary from the way you're training.
It's part of the.
It's a nice bonus, isn't it?
It's part of the habits, you know. What
gotcha.
I mean? It just kind of comes with it. I think people get too caught up on like the destination, right? Where do I want my body to be, instead of focusing on like just enjoying every day, right? What am I doing every day?
I love that, man. The journey.
Yeah, exactly.
The journey is everything. Because like anytime I've dieted, the journey of dieting is so much more rewarding than being in really good shape.
Yeah.
I find when you're in good shape and you're sitting there, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I like the struggle more than I do the reward.
And it's what you learn through the struggle too, man. You know what I mean? What you're learning through pushing through that one last rep, or getting a few more pounds on your bench press. Like, how am I pushing myself today just to be better than I was last week or yesterday? You know what I'm saying? And learning to fall in love with that process, instead of like, oh, I can't wait till I get to this many pounds on bench, right? Or
it doesn't mean anything, does it?
Exactly.
Because hey, when I'm this size and this lean, my life's going to come together. It's not. It doesn't make any difference. No. It's like these people trying to chase a viral video. Like, I've had a viral video on TikTok, and guess what? Nothing.
Yeah.
It didn't mean anything. It got me like 20,000 new followers. That was it. Yeah. It didn't change the quality of my life. It didn't get me any more attention. It didn't lead to any more work.
Yeah.
I've just got a bigger number on my TikTok now.
Right.
Full stop.
Yep.
That's it. All right. Your background. So you currently own a gym.
Yeah.
Gym in Las Vegas. What's the gym called?
Persevere.
Persevere.
Yeah.
So what is your gym about? I know your gym's kind of different to the standard. Would you even call it? Would you call it a gym, or have you got a better way of?
So it's actually it is a gym, but it's more geared towards just personal training and small group training.
So more of a studio type setup.
Yeah. So I don't sell memberships, man. Essentially, that gym is there just for us to help people on their journey, right? Just really help people find sustainability in their fitness. You know what I mean? So what I try to do with this place is still keep the impersonal training, right? Because when you go to a gym and it's like chaotic, you see people everywhere, people are distracted, your client's distracted, you're distracted. So it's like more personal, because it's like you two are there, so you get to really talk to this person, get to know about this person, their challenges, what's going on in their family. So it helps you better be able to help this person, because now you know what's really going on and the things behind it.
A standard gym is quite intimidating for someone who hasn't been, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's probably a lot less intimidating for someone to go to a private gym like that.
Yeah, man, and I think that's what stops a lot of people from going after their journey, right? It's not necessarily the
big bodybuilders walking around.
Yeah, it's as shitty as it sounds, man. Sometimes, you know, you do go to the gym and you find those people that are just not very welcoming to those new people, and it's sad. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily the gym that's the intimidating part. It's just some shitty people are intimidating to them.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm probably like at my gym, probably one of the bigger guys. And there was a girl the other day, must have been a young girl. She's bench pressing the bar, and she's pushing so hard.
Yeah.
And she did a rep. I was like, she's gonna tap out. She did another rep. She's gonna tap. She just kept going.
That's awesome.
And afterwards, I was just gave her a thumbs up. I'm like, that's awesome. And that's what you need, right?
That encouraging.
That just this young girl pushing like so much harder than everybody else. And I was like, keep going, girl. That's awesome. So your background, what? You're obviously a personal trainer.
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned competing.
Yeah.
Run me through from the start. What you got into training, competing, personal training.
Well, I've been active my entire life. Since I was a young kid, my mom always had me in some type of sport, man. Like you name it, I've done it.
Yeah.
So I was always that little kid that was like, what do they say, jack of all trades but expert at none.
Yeah.
So I played soccer, I played tennis, volleyball. You
Are
name it.
you a pretty good athlete?
Yeah, so I've always been athletic. I've
Yeah.
always been able to pick things up pretty quickly and.
One of those people, huh?
Yeah,
I hate those people.
but it's just because my mom had me pretty much do everything.
Okay.
So like in my mind, it was just easy for me to pick things up. But until I got to like middle school, high school, I decided to pursue soccer for the most part.
Okay.
And really started becoming.
That's why you got
good
the
at that.
big chunky legs.
Actually, no, man. These came from hard work the past.
Oh, did
few
they?
years, man.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, most soccer
I used
players
to have
got
chicken legs.
really.
But I started working them out 3 times a week, and they started growing.
Yeah.
And
It's funny how it works, right?
I still got a long way to go, man. But yeah, so like I said, I started picking up soccer, got involved with that, and then did a little bit of wrestling in high school as well. Once I got out of high school, long story short, I kind of had some anger issues, right? And I found Muay Thai. I went to college, I found Muay Thai, and I really found a happy place in that, just because I got a chance to not only work on myself and work on my fitness, but also get a lot of that out.
So much. I've done
yeah.
Muay Thai too, and it's the best way. You don't walk out of a Muay Thai session in a bad mood.
Oh, no.
You're spent. You're quite humbled.
Yeah. Even if
Yeah.
somebody tries to start an argument, it's just like,
nah, I got
whatever,
better
dude,
things
like,
to do.
I'm tired,
Yeah.
I'm hungry, leave me alone.
So that was your outlet.
Yeah, so I went to Sacramento, I went to college, I found a Muay Thai gym there, and obviously when I moved here when I was 12. I've been in Vegas since. When I went to college, I went to Sacramento. And then when I came back, I found a mixed martial arts gyms, Vandalay Silva's gym, one fight team. Started fighting with them, started doing a little bit more wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, so I started mixing it up.
Yeah.
So pretty much, long story short, I've been athletic my whole life. I've been in some type of sport. In 2013, I got in a car accident. A Tundra truck T-boned me going in so I had a Scion TC. Tundra truck ran a red light and T-boned me.
Damn.
Left me with a herniated disc on my L5S1. Okay. Which pretty much for 2 years, man, left me unable to pretty much do anything without pain.
Oh, jeez.
And that was a really shitty place in my life, man, because I went from being athletic, right, being able
Looking
to pick
good,
up
feeling
anything,
good,
yeah, man, and literally being able to run, do all
defend
these
yourself.
things, to like nothing, man.
Just
I could barely even like get out of a couch without like almost screaming from pain.
And you probably depended on someone else, which you've never been.
Yeah, man. So after the car accident, I got prescribed pain medications. Unfortunately, I became addicted to them.
What pain medication?
They gave me oxycodone.
Should they have given you that?
I was in pain, man. So
do you think that was the right approach? Because so many people, you hear so many stories about this. Is that the right way of doing it for someone who's been through it, or?
Honestly, man, I think the way our medical system works at this point, it's kind of more of a money-based thing. I think there could have been different approaches, especially with me only being 23. But at the end of the day, I think me going through that has helped me, and it put me in a place where I'm at. That's made me passionate about what I do, Okay. So I think it was the right way or right thing for them to do.
In your journey.
Yeah, it made me, go through that, go through the addiction, go through the withdrawals, go through like not being able to do anything, after being able to do anything,
What makes it so addictive?
Oh man, it's just the medication, the dopamine or whatever they put in those pills, man.
So it's not just like the masking the pain; it's you get some type of high from it or something.
Yeah, obviously, and your body starts becoming dependent on those kinds of medications, right? When you take it for a long time, and through the journey of it, like they started increasing the dosage and increasing because it stops affecting you. As much.
So you start taking more to get the same.
Yeah. So and then eventually it got to the point where like they just cut me off. Like there was no like, let's wean you off, nothing. Like they were just like, all right, well, we're done prescribing you this, like figure it out.
Is that just because they felt like you didn't need it, or they felt like you're addicted?
Yeah,
or?
so actually so this was actually towards the end of those 2 years. It's like a year and a half. I got an injection on my lower back of cortisol. I believe it's cortisol.
Which is super painful in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, but that helped the pain subside massively.
Okay.
So after those shots, they felt I didn't need the medication anymore, right? Which I agree, I probably didn't, right? But going off of something like that cold turkey, man, the withdrawals from that is something that I would never, ever want somebody to experience in their life, dude. Just bone aches, the sweats, you know, you're cold all the time, you can't eat because you're not, you know, your stomach is turned. It was a crazy experience, man.
Really? How long did it take you to kind of come good from that? And did you have a girlfriend at the time? Did you have anyone around you who was going through that?
I was actually married at the time, yeah.
So I'm sure that affected your marriage big time.
The whole thing affected, the whole car accident, the depression of it, like all of that stuff affected it, man. And I'm grateful for all of it, you know, because like I said, at the end of the day, like that experience has made me who I am today. But yeah, man, you know, after having the shots and after, you know, getting off the medication, I got to a point where I looked at myself in the mirror and like it was sad, you know, like I was like, I just said like, dude, this is not who you are, man. Like this is not the end. Like you got to do something about it, because if you don't, like you're just gonna keep going down this rabbit hole.
Was that the kind of wake up call for you?
Yeah, man.
Do you remember the time, the exact time?
Oh, I don't remember the exact time, but I just remember exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing these
Do you really?
camouflage underwear, man, and you know, I just looked at myself in the mirror and like I could see it, you know, I could just see I looked old. I looked like I aged 10 years, you know, and I felt like I aged 10 years too, you know. So that day I made a decision, man. I was like, dude, I gotta hire somebody. Like I need somebody to come in and like help me through this.
Someone in your corner. Yeah. Okay.
So I hired a coach.
What type of coach?
A strength training coach. So like a personal trainer.
What made you go personal trainer opposed to like any other type of, like a counselor or a?
I needed that accountability, and I knew what fitness did for me.
That makes a lot of sense.
I needed to regain my self-confidence. I needed to do something that was pushing me out of my comfort zone.
And that's kind of like, that's your blueprint, isn't it? You're an athletic, fit guy, and when you kind of take that away from something, you don't feel like you're not yourself, right? You feel lost.
Right.
So that was your way of getting that back.
Yeah, man. And honestly, you know, I was with him for about a year and a half. His name was Buck. And he helped me a lot. He helped me a lot just in a sense of like getting that back, getting that self-confidence, re-strengthening my back, and like really feeling strong again.
Okay.
So, you know, I tell people all the time, like, that is what made me so passionate about what I do, because I know what it's like to be on the other end of things.
Gotcha. So that's kind of led to the gym and the training and helping other people.
Yeah, man. After he did that for me, man, I just wanted to pay it forward at the end of the day. You know, I just wanted to do the same thing for other people.
It's kind of like you know, like someone who's been obese their whole life, have lost weight, and they've become a trainer. They can kind of step in someone's shoes and they can relate. Whereas I've never been extremely overweight, so I've never been able to relate to what it's like having those bad habits.
Right.
So you're able to probably resonate with clients in a different way than, say, I would, for instance, right?
Yeah, it's experience. You know, I think that's where the best coaching comes in, right? Like any certification can get you the knowledge, but the experience of being on the other side of things is way bigger than anything else, because then you can really relate to a person, right? And understand the struggles and understand, like, you know, if you've just been fit your whole life, you don't really understand like what it's like to look at yourself in the mirror and like not be happy.
No, you don't. So how what came next? Was it kind of like, what, after you got a coach, did that lead to competing?
No, man. So actually, when I was with that coach, my goal at the end of the day was to compete. And I ended up not doing it, actually. I ended up not really enjoying the way he was doing it for the competition aspect.
Okay.
I enjoyed everything else, but when it came down to the competition thing, I wasn't a huge fan. So I ended up just not going that route. And then I started working on my own PT, my personal training certification.
Okay.
Obviously, I had a couple jobs at a time, and it's crazy because when I was younger, I always kind of wanted to be a personal trainer. because I was always athletic, right? But I never really had what that car accident gave me, which was like a purpose, right? Okay, like it's cool to be a personal trainer, but like now I have like a reason why I do it, you know, and something that drives me to want to help even more.
Which is everything, right?
Yeah,
like passion, true passion.
100%, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah, once I started working on my certifications, right? I started kind of dwindling myself out of the jobs that I had before and kind of coming into personal training. Started working at EOS. That was my first big box gym that I worked at. Super grateful for that journey, man. It taught me everything about, you know, the business aspect of personal training, you know, how to retain clients, you know, how to measure clients, how to keep them motivated, driven, and also working with a different criteria of people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you paying a rent to the gym, or were you getting paid hourly?
No, I was getting paid. Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And what led you into starting your own gym? Like that's a big jump.
Well, that was my goal from day one.
Oh, it was.
When I got my certifications, like, you know, when I went into EOS, my goal was to only be there for a year, and I did exactly that, right?
Okay.
My goal was go in there, soak up as much knowledge as you can, start building a portfolio of people you've helped. From there, go into independent training, right? My goal was to be an independent trainer so I was at EOS for like a year and a half actually, and I wanted to be an independent trainer for 5 years before I pulled the trigger on opening my gym. But yeah, I mean, 3 years after I became independent, kind of just the stars aligned, you know what I mean? And I figured like, pull the trigger now or never. So
it's kind of like that, right? Kind of jump in with 2 feet and figure it out on the way down.
Did I feel ready? I did not, but I just knew that as long as I just kept the right purpose behind what I'm doing, like there's no way it won't.
And I'm so like, I like the fact you said, did I feel ready? No, because you never feel ready. You never feel ready to have a kid. You never feel ready to start a business. You never can plan perfect enough. But it gets to a point where if you don't take action, it's never going to happen.
And I like to correlate almost everything I do, like especially business, man, to fitness.
It goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
You're never ready to start a fitness journey. You're never ready to start a new nutrition program. But all it takes is just taking that one step, and then from there you start to learn. Right? Everybody's always waiting for those stars to be aligned, and like it just never happens.
That's not how life works, right? Love that. Talk to me about your training now. Like, how do you train? How often you train? I feel like you train different to the majority of people.
Yeah, so right now I'm on a program. It has me working out 2 times a day.
2 times a day?
Yeah.
How long sessions go for?
45 minutes. It's a minimum of 45 minutes a day.
2 times a day, every day for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that's also it's different too. Like obviously there's a mix of strength training, steady state cardio, which sometimes I just go on walks, right? Steady state cardio, whether I'm on the Stairmaster or whatever, and then some HIIT in there as well.
Okay.
And then I also have active rest days too, where you know I just walk or I just do yoga.
Okay.
But still for 45 minutes, so it's not like I'm in balls to the wall 2 times a day every single day. But yeah.
Yeah, I like how you said like the yoga, like a stretch session.
Yeah.
Because it's still really a session, but it can be even more beneficial than the training session, right?
I like to call it purposeful activity, right? Like when you're sitting down for 45 minutes and purposefully doing something for your body. So like
I like that.
As long as you're doing that for 45 minutes, that's part of the program, right? Like
I like that a lot.
And it's just a mix.
How long have you been on this for? And what was your training like compared to what it is now?
So I started doing this program about 3 years ago. It's a year program, and there's different phases to it. There's breaks in between phases and stuff. But this program, obviously, it's more about not just the fitness aspect. It's actually more of like a mental aspect.
Yeah, huge.
Challenge you to do things like when you're not feeling to do them. It's like probably one of the biggest things that it's really helped me. And I tell people all the time, like, thanks to this program, like I have that gym because it taught me, right? You're not always gonna feel like it, or you're not always gonna be ready for it, but like you just have to take action. It's
developing mindset is number one, right? I don't think most people realize it's the relentless mindset of being able to just continually push. If you fail, get back up and go again. If you don't hit your goals, you just keep trying. Like failing's not really failing until you give up. And
just
like
learning a way to not do it.
Yeah, it's just a different path, right? Hey, this didn't work, I'm gonna try this. This didn't work, I'm gonna try this. All right, so you kind of touched on this. Have you lost your motivation beside, like, obviously, like the car accident, the injury, is that the main time you've kind of lost your motivation? Or do you find you fluctuate your motivation?
Honestly, man, I think people rely too much on motivation. You're not always going to be motivated, right? It comes down to building disciplines.
Okay,
right?
I like where you're
Habits
going
and disciplines,
here. Yeah.
right? Because you're not always going to feel like it.
Yeah.
Right? If I only worked out when I felt like it, man, I would probably be way overweight.
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
only ate good when I felt like it, I would be way overweight.
Gotcha.
You know,
I love that, man.
I think
it's so raw and real.
Yeah, and I think motivation is just like an overrated thing. Everybody's always looking for it, right? Where can I get motivated, or who can motivate me? When instead you should be focusing on like, what disciplines and habits do I need to build so that this becomes automatic and I just do it because it needs to be done.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
What are your habits that you've developed that you keep on a consistent basis?
You know, and habits are the same thing, right? They kind of go up and down. Sometimes they're great, sometimes you fall off of them a little bit, but as long as you're coming back to them, it's all that matters. I'm huge on like obviously like a morning routine, a night routine. Those two set you up for success for your entire day.
Yeah.
So you know, obviously like waking up a certain way, not looking at your phone, you know, starting with some movement, water, that kind of thing.
So you're pretty diligent on this stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to, you know,
That's
especially
awesome, man.
as a business owner, you kind of have to be as regimented as you possibly can, so that you
structured, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
That's great. How do you develop good habits?
One day at a time, man.
I'm
actually reading a really good book right now. It's called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've ever read that.
I've read that. Yeah.
But it actually really explains the science between of a habit and how it's built and what triggers a habit. Right? You have your cue, then you have like, you know, what drives that cue, and then just going off of that. I think building a habit is just like trying to break a habit. Right? It's like, what can you do in a minuscule, like for example, say you're trying to go to bed earlier and you right now go to bed at 12 at night and you say, I want to start going to bed at 10. Well, that's a little drastic, right?
Yeah.
So the way you'd build the habit of trying to go to bed at 10, you'd go 10:45. You stay consistent on that.
Okay.
10:30. Stay consistent on that. You know, next thing you know, then you're at 10.
Little baby steps.
Yeah, little baby steps at a time, man, and making sure you're taking that step forward. I think one thing that has helped me a lot with building habits is tracking habits.
How do you track it?
Just check marks, man. Did I do this today?
Oh, really?
Did I
like
read
in a
today?
book, on your phone?
Yeah, on your phone or on a book. You know,
Okay.
I have a calendar that has that in it, and I just check it off as I go. What are my habits for the week? What am I working on? And like checking them off that way.
That's interesting. And then you'll add new ones to that.
Yeah,
as you go along.
Once that becomes a habit, right?
Gotcha.
It's called habit stacking. You stack a habit on top of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, what I like to do is if I set something new, I won't add anything new until that is a habit, that is consistent. So for instance, like say cold showers. I've been doing cold showers now for 6 years.
Nice.
Did I always do that? No. But I just started small and all of a sudden it's just the norm now.
How long do you do?
Just as long as I shower.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. If it's a 2-minute shower, it's a 10-minute shower. It's cold. It's just literally a habit now.
Yeah.
Like fasting, I fast every single day now. That's just a habit. So I like what you're saying there. Developing good habits that work for you and make it consistent, where you don't really think about it. It's just a habit. Yeah. Your diet. What's your diet like? How important is diet? What do you kind of tell people out there when it comes to like what goes in your mouth?
I think nutrition is everything, especially when you're trying to perform better or be better, get stronger. Whatever your goal is, right? Nutrition is going to be the number one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, like number one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's it. It's a big puzzle, right?
Love it.
Your fitness journey is just a big puzzle. That's one of the most important ones right there. My nutrition right now is a little bit more strict because of the program I'm on. But,
okay, which is going to have to be, right? Training that often.
Yeah, but usually, you know, obviously, like I believe in moderation, right? 80-20 rule. And with all of my clients, I've not ever told any of my clients they can't have something. Instead, I help them and educate them on the contents of that nutrition, right? So like the contents of the food, like your proteins, carbs, fats, and help them figure out what their budgets are for them.
Okay.
And then help them implement those foods that they love into their daily routine, because that makes it more sustainable.
Gotcha.
So
like fitting in macros in a way.
100%. So I do everything off of macros.
Okay, you measure macros, do you?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So if you want to have this, I don't know, frappuccino, you're gonna have to sacrifice here and here to have this.
And I think me personally, like, I love that approach for anybody and everybody. Do I think everybody should always track their macros forever? No, probably not. But I think it's definitely a good approach to help people get educated on the contents of food.
Yeah, I feel like most people don't understand how bad food is, or how bad certain foods are, or they kind of stick their head in the sand and, hey, I'll be fine, I'm young, and as we know, we just keep getting older, things start to slow down. Okay, so you measure macros yourself as well. Okay. Cardio. You mentioned you do cardio. You got a kind of split type of session. I want to ask you this first. How important is cardio when it comes to weight loss?
It's a little bit. It's actually not that important. It's actually not important at all when it comes to weight loss. Do
you feel like most people feel like it is?
I think most people think that's the most important thing, and I think as a coach, it's one of the hardest things to break people away from. I think, and I gotta be careful how I approach this, right? Because a lot of people think that I'm saying don't do cardio. I'm not saying.
Yeah, you're not saying that.
It's still important for your heart, for your lungs, right? It also helps like your body just digest nutrients a little bit better. But when it comes to weight loss and fat loss, nutrition is going to be key. Obviously, like there's a ladder, right? Nutrition, strength training, then from there you kind of start focusing on like sleep, that kind of stuff, and then cardio would be your last.
So it's coming at the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly.
And I kind of want you to tell me why. Like, say we do the treadmill for half an hour. How many calories are we burning?
Not as many as your watch would tell you, that's for sure.
Yeah. How many would you say? Like, just a medium?
Honestly, probably you're burning about maybe 100, and depends on the intensity, right? And that's variant too.
Maybe 100,
it's variant too, because you also look at a person that has more muscle mass to less muscle mass. The person that has more muscle mass is going to burn more even if they do the exact same exercise, you know? So it's variant person to person. There's no way of really telling the accurate amount of calories you're actually burning, but it's very insignificant compared to like where you do strength training. The difference between strength training and cardio: when you do cardio, you're burning calories for that amount of time you're doing cardio.
Full stop. That's it. Yeah.
Right? Once you're done with cardio, like, you're not really burning more calories.
Yeah.
When you do strength training, you're burning calories through the strength training, and then you burn calories up to 48, depending on how intense your session was, because your body has to recover and repair itself. And that also takes calories.
And then you're adding muscle on top of that too, right?
Yeah, 100%, which obviously the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn at rest. So
it's pretty simple when you understand it, but when you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to, like, say you're doing a half an hour walk 5 times a week. Yeah. So we're talking 500 calories. Give me a couple examples on what's got 500 calories in it that someone might eat, just that as a snack.
Dude, a Starbucks drink. Like, you can
Starbucks drink, right?
A Starbucks drink.
So that one frappuccino can cancel out your entire 5 days of cardio, right?
Yeah.
Or that 2 slices of pizza would do that, or 2 cans of Coke, or it's pretty nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And people wonder why they're overweight or they can't lose weight.
Yeah, and I think obviously, like, I like to look at nutrition in a way of like, there is really no good or bad foods, right? Like, there's like this line down the middle that everybody likes to make up, but at the same time, like, obviously there's more food that is more micronutrient dense and food that is less micronutrient dense. As long as you're 80% here and you are having your Starbucks drink 20% of the time, that's okay, right? But that's where balance and moderation and true lifestyle really comes from. Because if you just restrict somebody and tell them you can't have soda or you can't have your Starbucks, as a human, what's the first thing we're gonna want?
Rebound.
We're gonna fucking want that. Like,
you tell me I can't have something like that's the first thing I want.
Right, 100%.
Give me.
So I like to look at, like, I have an approach of, like, instead of saying like good or bad foods, it's like, okay, you have like these are obviously more micronutrient dense, which are going to give you more vitamins, minerals, stuff like that. Then you have less micronutrient dense foods, which are highly palatable foods, right? Which are going to make you hungry. You're not going to be very full for long. But if you want to implement those here and there, that's okay. Yeah. Right? Just focus on this a little more and this a little less.
And you might be able to relate to this. I know if I'm eating like really good, say 6 days a week, and I'm having like big wholesome meals, and then I go have a burger or I eat out, I feel like I'm eating air. It just doesn't really do anything. You're used to having this full, wholesome, delicious food, and then you have something that just has got 3, 4, 5, 6 times the calories, and it doesn't do jack to make you full or satisfy you.
And not only that, but it makes you feel like crap
Yeah,
most of the
plus
time,
you got to crash afterwards, or you
Yeah.
feel bloated for the first time in a week, and you start questioning, why am I doing this in the first place?
But I also believe that those moments are also important to a journey, right? Because when you realize how good food or like whole food makes you feel compared to like, you know, going and getting this greasy burger, right? It kind of shifts your mind into like, oh man, I don't really need that like that.
You kind of got to go through it, don't you?
You start craving this a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important because you're allowing yourself to go through that and going and having those foods where if you just restrict them completely, like I said, you're going to crave them more, right? You're going to want them a lot more. So
it's kind of like wake up call. You don't eat pizza for a month and you have pizza, you're like, damn, that's oily,
all gassy,
bloated, got indigestion, all these things you haven't had for a month, and all of a sudden you've got from that one meal.
Yeah.
And food doesn't lie. It will tell you, hey, this is up.
Yeah.
Your advice to just people on weight loss, how do you approach it? How do they go about it? A new client comes in, where do you start?
I think the biggest thing, number one, I tell people is stop focusing so much on the destination and start learning how to enjoy the journey. I think that's the biggest advice I would have for anybody, right?
That.
Because everybody's so caught up on like how much weight they want to lose or where they want to get to, instead of saying, is what I'm doing sustainable? Am I enjoying it? Am I gonna be able to keep going with this?
I love that, man. That's so good.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about asking myself these questions, and I'm like, yeah, is this something I can maintain? Is this something I enjoy doing? And if it's a no, you know it's not going to last, right? It's just being real and honest with yourself.
100% of the time, man, if you're miserable doing something, you're not going to keep doing it, right? So instead, I have an approach with all of my clients where everybody's different. It's not a one-size-fits-all, right? Everybody's got different jobs, different things to do. So it's more about finding the right puzzle piece for this person, their approach, whether, you know, it's fasting. There's different methods, man. There's not one that's better than the others.
Yeah, one that fits all.
Yeah, it's about finding what you enjoy, what's sustainable for you. So I tell people all the time, man, stop focusing on where you want to get to and start focusing on the steps you're taking to get to that place, right?
To get there.
Every day. Like, are you doing your tasks every day?
I really like that. It's just, I never heard it put that way, but I feel like personally I can resonate with that a lot. Top 3 killers: diabetes, heart disease, stroke.
Yep.
How do we fix it? Someone dies every 39 seconds in America from a heart attack. How do you get that message clear and loud and get it across to people to make change?
I think you know, obviously there's different factors that play a role into all those diseases, right? Everybody's different. Some are hereditary and stuff like that, right? But I think if people were just a little more active, right? If they moved more, even if they just went on walks every day, and they just started paying a little more attention to what they're consuming on a daily basis, they can make a big change in that.
How do you get someone to want to like make that little bit of, I know it's only a little effort you're talking about, but how do you get someone to make that little effort before they have a mild heart attack or they get pre-diabetic?
Sadly, a person has to want it for themselves, right? It's not something you can have somebody or teach somebody how to want.
You can't really force it on someone, and people don't like to be told. If you're a smoker and I tell you don't smoke because it's bad for you, what are you going to do? You're going to tell me get lost because you've heard it 1,000 times. Yeah. So how do you get that message across without getting that person's back up?
I think, and this is where like my passion, my motivation for my own journey comes in play. And I tell this to people all the time, man. I think the only way we can get the point across to people in the fitness industry is by leading by example, right? What are you doing and how do you feel? Like, how am I presenting myself with all of these things and all these habits that I'm building that makes people want to feel that way as well?
Yeah. And also the problem is there's so much douchiness. I feel like a couple of years ago it wasn't so douchey as it is now. I feel like in the fitness industry's got people like you and I, but I feel like there's a lot of like douchiness with it too. And I feel like those people don't help the cause. It's trying to like, hey, I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to get attention. I'm not trying to show my abs. I'm trying to express to you when I'm 42, I feel the way I did when I'm 20, and I want everyone else to feel the way I do.
Right.
It's getting that across, isn't it?
Yeah, and honestly, man, like at 32 right now, I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life.
Which is, and it's not lying, it's not over exaggerating the truth, it's fact.
Yeah.
Today at 42, I felt just the way I've always felt, if not better.
Yeah.
And I never thought it was possible, but now I realize that when I'm 62, I can feel exactly the way I do now. Yeah. It's got to be a little bit more wrinkled and stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's why I think, like, I take my role. I'm not just a trainer. I'm not just a coach, man. I consider myself a leader in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Right. And in order for me to help people and actually educate them or want them to do what I ask of them to do, is I have to be doing it myself.
100%.
So I pride myself on that, man. I never have any of my clients do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Love that.
So, you know, at the end of the day, like, that's one thing that all of my clients see. They see me grinding, they see me eating the way I do, they see me getting my steps every day, and that in a sense makes them feel like they can trust and that I am guiding them in the right direction because I'm out there doing it myself.
And you've been through the journey.
Yeah,
you know what it feels like at
and
this
I'm
point.
still in the journey, man.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending journey. I think, you know.
Love that. Have you got kids? Any children?
No, I do not.
All right, I want your
I
thoughts.
got 2 dogs though.
Well, honestly, this kind of applies to this too because there's a lot of overweight dogs. Yeah. What do you think of childhood obesity? It's kind of scary, right?
Yeah, man.
Like back at school, did you have anyone who's overweight in your entire year or school?
A lot of kids, man.
So I didn't have any.
Yeah.
So that 10-year jump, I think it was one, I don't like to say fat, but one overweight guy, one overweight girl my entire year. Yeah. And now it's like, what, 60%?
Yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, it all starts at home, right? It kind of starts with where the parents are, their beliefs, and what they're instilling in these kids as well. Some of the stuff is hereditary as well. You know, obviously there's a lot of factors that play a role into all this stuff. But our food is just becoming very easily accessible, very cheap, right? And very less micronutrient dense, right?
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things with child obesity, man, I think same thing as I just said, right? Lead by example. As a parent, the advice I would give any parent if they're trying to get their kid to lose weight is like, what are you showing them? Like, what are you teaching them? What are you doing? What are you reaching for when you go in the fridge? You know, what
like
are you
personally as a parent?
Yeah, 100%.
Are you talking about for them putting in their mouth or what they give to the child, or both?
Both, man. Because the kid's gonna do as you do. You know what I mean? And that's I think that's the beautiful thing about like being a parent. It's like you're creating this child off of what your habits are and what your disciplines are and stuff like that. That's what I believe. I mean, I don't have any children, but
I totally like 100% agree. If you're an overweight parent and you're not willing to lose weight, how do you instill good habits in your children? Can it be done? Like, if you're my child, can I say no to you if I'm at McDonald's, but hey, you can't have it because it's not good for you? No. It doesn't really make sense, does it? No. And Cordell and I kind of talked about this. You're not really ever going to see a skinny parent and an overweight child, are you? Have you ever seen that? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, unless it's genetical, you know what I mean? Unless
that's probably like the only way, right?
Yeah.
Because it goes back to what you say, is what you do is what they're going to do. But what you eat, they're going to eat.
There's also a difference between like saying a skinny parent or a fit parent, you know what I mean? Because
that's another thing too, right?
Yeah, and that's a whole different rabbit hole, right? But you'll never see somebody that's like focused on their health, focused on their fitness, and have their kid not focused on somewhat of their health and fitness.
Just touch on that lightly. What you're saying is just because you may not be carrying a lot of weight doesn't necessarily make you healthy, because some people have got different like bodies. Some people are able to like metabolize food in a different way, but it doesn't stop them getting diabetes, doesn't stop them having heart disease, does it?
Nope. Yeah, everybody just carries a different, man. That's a genetical thing, right? You know, just because you're skinny or just because you're slim doesn't mean you're healthy, you know?
I personally think if you carry weight, it's probably a blessing in disguise, because it's a true indication that, hey, you're actually not healthy.
Right. Like
if you're sitting you and I are and you're eating a lot of crap, it's going to catch up on you. You're probably not going to know until it does catch up on you. Yeah. All right, last question. Longevity. What is key to longevity?
You know, like I said, I think that same thing that I drive to all of my clients, man, focusing on the journey more than the destination, right? Because when you are focused on the journey, you're focused on what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and you're doing things that you're doing and you're finding things that you love to do consistently to get you there, right?
Yeah.
Whether you like to go to a cycling class or you like weightlifting, it doesn't matter as long as you like that and you're able to consistently do that. That's what lifestyle and that's what longevity is all about.
Just developing those habits, like you said, staying active, do what you enjoy, and with that, it kind of creates like this this domino effect in a healthy way. Like, hey, I'm more active now. I'm going to eat better. Now my children watch me eat better. It just starts to snowball in a good way. And just as far as your environment, how important is your environment?
I mean, you know, most millionaires say, right, show me the 5 people you hang out with and I'll show you exactly where you're going to be at.
Yeah, you know, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, I think environment is everything, man. Especially when you're trying to start a journey, right? It's important to kind of view your environment from an outside perspective and say, what in my environment is helping me get there and what's actually dampering me getting there, you know? Obviously, if you're somebody that can't control themselves around chips and you freaking have chips at the house all the time, you're never going to be able to stop eating those chips, you know?
So you're even talking like house environment.
Yeah,
I like that.
All environments,
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then obviously like the people you surround yourself with, right? If you're trying to become fit, and that's another thing with the gym and the group classes that we have, right? We're trying to create that environment where like people are coming around other people that have the same goals, same mindset. Because sometimes you don't have that support at home, right? You don't have
no. Your
significant other is involved in fitness or as driven in it as you are, as you need to be. Right, so just creating that environment of like different people, different journeys, but the same goal in mind, right? Where you can all come together, chat, have fun, enjoy a class, and like go on your way. It sets you up for success because you've already been around that environment at least once that day.
So that's a good way. If you're around, you got your 5 closest friends from when you're 20, you're now in your 30, they're all overweight, they're unhealthy. You're saying a good way of kind of breaking from that pack is to go out and do those group classes and start making different. You're not cutting those friends off necessarily, but you're adding different friends, which are going to add to that purpose, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way.
Yeah.
Opposed to like, hey, I'm just suddenly going to go to the gym by myself and I'm going to start eating right. It's probably not going to happen. Yeah. So that's a comfortable way of getting into the right direction.
Yeah, I think I like to look at like, you know, your circle of friends as like a target, right? The very first one is going to be your closest friends or the things that you want to be around most, because that's kind of where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
And those things change from time to time, right? Some people come in out of it, you know, depending on where their life is and where they're going as well, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But the goal is to kind of keep that inner circle as close to where you want to go. Like as close to having people that want the same thing as you or are driven for the same thing as you. You don't have to cut people out, but maybe they just need to move into the outer circle. So
that's
right?
That's so good. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, man.
Of course,
I appreciate your time. That was amazing. And I definitely want to have you back on and pick your brain about running a gym.
Yeah, dope. I'm still learning, but let's do it.